Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you. How was your week?
Very nice to see you.
It's
I had
nice.
a great weekend.
What did you tell me about it?
Well, we have a nice first-time buyer couple that bought a condo this weekend. And I helped somebody who is moving from Dallas, Texas to Chicago look. So we were out and about this weekend in the cold weather. So I saw some really great properties.
What brings them to Chicago?
Job change.
Okay.
Job change. Yeah.
I love hearing people coming into town. I want to thank all of them for choosing us.
That's right. But you know what? And he's starting to see what a great city we live in. So it's always fun to show Chicago to people. I really, really enjoy it. How about you? How was your weekend?
Well, it was our sort of last weekend of,
non-stay-at-home advisory. Is that where you were going?
So I helped a couple who are thinking of downsizing to a bigger house.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a change of life, and they've decided they need
go big
more space. And I helped somebody come up with an offer for a really cute 2-bedroom, 2-bath up in Ravenswood.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was cold. I think we need to settle in and get used to the fact that we're going to have some cold weather for showings. So anyhow,
I ate outside on Friday night when it was cold, and I wore, I'm going to be embarrassed to say I really overdressed considering they had heat lamps, and so I had to undress. But it was, so
that's good.
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna try continuing eating outdoors.
Yeah.
I'm supportive.
Yeah. Well, and everybody remember, real estate's a necessary activity. So please don't put your plans on hold. We're happy to help in a safe way. This morning, we are going to talk about assessing value in condominiums, and we've got some great examples to show you. But first, I'd like to share screen and show you what's happening in the Near North neighborhood, which includes Gold Coast, Lincoln Park. Can you see my screen there?
Sure can.
Whoops. Okay. And of course, and then I had it all ready to go, and now it's bad. Okay. So by Near North, as you all know, we're talking about this neighborhood here, just north of the Loop. It includes Streeterville, River North, and the Gold Coast neighborhoods. I wanted to show you average price per square foot, which initially looks scary when you look at the 3 years, but when you look at it over time, it doesn't look so bad because prices have gone up.
Can we drop the Anne Rossley, Kyle Harvey shy bottom, because we can't sort of
Yes.
can't see.
Thank you for doing that. I will definitely hold on. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so this is number of closed sales, and I thought this was a fun chart to show you because in October, which is right here, actually, forget the number, it's right here. There were 176 closed condominiums. Now, these are condominiums only in the Near North neighborhood, 176. October of last year, 184. October of the year before, 170. And October of the year before that, 195. So you see this chart all over the board, but October to October to October, we're not really that far off.
No.
However,
wow.
Look at our inventory. Yeah, we have, gosh, almost twice the inventory we had in October of 3 years ago. Again, people are thinking
those were terribly low years, though. Remember, those were
absolutely
low years.
Absolutely.
But let's go back. We
had
a traumatic 2020,
yes.
And I wonder if a lot of these that are on the market now are in reaction to a very traumatic 2020, and whether they will go down or be processed. I don't know the answer, but this is a number that has that's always going to have an asterisk by it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Exactly right. It's like the baseball players in the Hall of Fame who took steroids, right? They're always going to have the asterisk. This will be the 2020 year.
Precisely.
So 2,158 active listings that are condominiums on the market today in that neighborhood compared to 1,185, 1,311, and 1,417. High number. But okay, so I want to show you, I mentioned earlier price per square foot. The current price per square foot for October is $387 for a condominium in the Near North neighborhood. And we just showed you this part of the graph, which shows the last 3 years. But I'd like to remind our friends that in 2011 and 2012, we saw the adjustment from the 2008 crash. And that's when prices hit their bottom. But look how they came back. They surpassed the numbers from before. And we're still higher than those numbers.
And I'd like to add for the hump, the big hump, because but for the past 2018, 2019, they've been pretty stable high.
Yes.
But those are years when we've had a number of very expensive buildings go for sale that have really jacked up the price. I'm thinking 9 Walton, 11 Walton, a whole bunch of buildings were built that have much higher price per square foot. And so that may account for this blip.
That's a very good point, Kyle. Absolutely. And of course, the other thing is, as you had mentioned just recently, we didn't have enough inventory.
Yeah.
So we didn't have enough inventory. So there was pressure on pricing. We had good interest rates, which was pressure on pricing. And we had big luxury buildings coming in the market. So that's what drove these prices up, particularly in the last 2 years. And so as much as you see this come down, this is still a good number.
Yeah, those buildings have sold and are not on the market anymore. Yeah.
Exactly right. So that's it. That's my update on the Near North. And today we're talking about Near North. And so I thought that might make sense to kind of talk about condominiums. So.
And just to preview what we're going to talk about Near North is there are a number of iconic buildings that were among the most expensive buildings in the city when they were built, and then for decades afterwards, and now have some bargains. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And to put it in context, when you're looking at a building, how do you know what the right value for that condominium is? So that's what we're going to talk about now. Should we jump in, Kyle? You want to start?
Yeah. So, what we wanted to talk about is because we stay on top of the market, we've observed a number of these iconic buildings drop their prices, especially in the Near North neighborhood, and they become, sort of astonishingly good values. We thought we'd talk about today how you evaluate condo prices in big buildings, and in particular in these luxury buildings. It looks like they're great deals. Are they great deals? Or are they not? So we thought we'd go through some of the things you think about. Whether you're a buyer or seller, the focus needs to be on price for the value. And here's how we look. So, Anne, on how
quick recap on what an appraiser is going to do, which is different than what a buyer does. An appraiser is going to look at last 6 months within a half a mile, and appraisers must use at least one condominium comparable from the building. So that's something to keep in mind as you're looking. But that's what the appraiser does when you're getting your loan. But what we want to talk about today is what matters to you when you're thinking about buying a condominium. So first of all, the first thing clients always tell us, right, Kyle, is monthly assessment.
Okay.
Waiting for me to go out of you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and especially today, especially the buyers that I'm working with today are saying, I want to load my monthly housing expense into the mortgage and not have it also comprise a large assessment. And that's because I want to buy the most space. I want to buy the most real estate and not necessarily buy the amenities, which is what you get from the assessment. And so in looking at these buildings, you've really got to look at what you get, the value of that assessment, and whether it's reasonable. So,
Right. So now some of these luxury buildings, and when whether it's 1440, which one might not consider luxury necessarily, but Carlisle, Thousand Plaza, they often have two-door staff. At like Water Tower and Mag Mile, same thing. During the day, they've got two on the door, one to let you in and one handling the inside. So those can be, at a great expense. When you're looking at the assessment, you want to look how well the building is managed. Are they spending their money wisely or frittering it away? What kind of amenities? Do they have an indoor pool? That can be expensive, particularly if you only have about 50 units sharing the price of that pool. And, what kind of reserves do they have? So all of those are things that impact the assessment. And we see assessments on condominiums, just say a 2-bedroom, ranging anywhere from like $800 a month to $2,500 a month. And I'm not even speaking about co-ops where property taxes are included.
No, but you actually hit the nail on the head. That there are two things that most impact the level of assessment: the number of staff per shift and the number of units to share the expenses across the building.
Right.
So we're going to be talking about two big buildings that have a lot of units to share a lot of expenses.
Exactly right. The next thing to consider when you're looking at value is the view and the height in the condominium. So typically a condominium is built with tiers. So it'll be like the A tier or the O1 tier. They all have the same floor plan. They all face the same way. So when you're evaluating, it's very easy to compare versus another A or another O1. What's the difference? The floor height, the condition of the apartment. And in some cases, if you clear the building next to you, or if you're looking smack dab into it.
Though, I know sometimes there are certain buildings, and I think this trend probably started in the 70s, where developers let people buy in early and then screwed up the tiers. So some floors on some buildings will have, like they'll be the O1 tier, but it'll be totally different because they let somebody buy raw space and then they built the rest of the floor around that space. And so that you see one O1 and that's X, and the one
Right.
that's like X times 5, and you're like, what? And then you realize, well, it's actually 3 times the size of the other units because they
Right.
let people buy in. And I'm thinking in particular, Olympia,
Yeah.
the Park Hyatt building, Water Tower, very much the case at 1 Mag Mile. A bunch of these buildings did that. The other buildings, for example, I don't think they did that at, I'm blanking on the Carlisle. I think those are pretty much set tiers. It was developed at a time when they built the building tiers, and maybe people combined them later. But so there can be some level of trickiness, but generally not.
Right. I think in large part too, it depends on whether it was built as a condominium or built as a rental and then converted at one point, because that was a large part of our history as well.
Yeah.
I've been asked this question, and Kyle and I both know the answer, and I'm going to share it now. When you buy in a condominium, the higher the floor level, the greater the price from when it was brand new, and also the greater percent ownership. So don't be surprised if you buy a 25th floor unit and you have a higher percent ownership than if you bought a 15th floor of the same floor plan.
So I'm in violent agreement with you. But
Violent. Okay.
But we're going to have one of my examples today does not bear that out. And I don't know how it happened.
No kidding.
I know, but wait till you get to it, because it's sort of like,
Okay.
what? But
That's very interesting.
I think it has to do with the view.
There is one new construction building going up right now where our company is the listing representative for the building. And every time you go up a floor, it's $35,000 more. And there is not a blocking building. It's just simply by floor level. So that just gives you a sense in buildings, and they're in the $2 million price range. That's why it's $35,000 more. If you get in smaller price ranges, it could be $1,000 to $5,000 per floor. And there's no set percentage. It's just kind of there.
No, but you can use that when you are pricing or when you are making an offer. This is, yes, right. You point to a sale on 27, but this unit's 11, and so I'm dropping the price significantly. You can't use the floor, the same tier 27 as a comp. So there are ways we can use that to that known value point.
Exactly right. So then the final variable in deciding if a property has the value, a good value or a not so good value, is the condition of the apartment. And, particularly, Kyle, when we're looking at these iconic buildings we're going to show that were done like in the 80s, we're now looking at 35 years old on these buildings. And so if it's an original unit, it's showing its age. So the level that it takes to get it up to today's condition will also affect the value.
And this, I completely agree. And a couple of things to that point. The construction materials and soundproofing of those materials are enough different that, for example, you don't have to have as low a ceiling to hide a light can. So ceilings all of a sudden can go up higher, and that is has an enormous effect on the way a home feels if the ceilings are higher. So the same unit can have much higher ceilings because it's been redone more recently. And it doesn't matter how meticulous you've maintained your property, styles get old. And I had another one. Oh, it's become clear in the industry that a kitchen or a design that is more than 10 years old is like that a buyer will view that as something that needs to be gut rehabbed.
Right.
And it shocks me that that the turnover in materials and taste has been so dramatic that 10 years everything is outdated. But I just want us all to have that as an expectation. So let's
Okay. So do you want to start with your building, or would you like me to start with mine?
Let's start with yours.
Okay. I am going to talk today about,
The tea is good.
1 Meg Mile, 950 North Michigan Avenue. This sits at the corner of Oak and Michigan. And it is a multi-use building where it has retail on the first 2 levels, then commercial space, and then condominiums above. We're going to talk first about the 03 floor plan. This is what it looks like. And you can see we've got living room, dining room, and 3 bedrooms. And it's on the corner here. And this is what's happened in the building recently. There are currently 303s on the market that range in price from $739,000 to $1,150,000. And there are 3 solds that have closed in the 2020s for $750,000 to $1,025,000. Excuse me. So why did they sell at different prices? Let's take a look. First, I want to show you the highest in recent memory of an 03. This is unit 5303, and it closed at, sometimes I like to do price per square foot. It's just like a leveling point, if you will. Now, this works to compare units in a building. However, I propose to you that it does not work when you compare building against building unless you're comparing value, like what's a better building. So, for example, you look at a 9 Walton, it's not going to have the same price per square foot as a 950 Michigan, right? So based on how new it is, the amenities, so forth, different buildings will have different average price per square foot. But okay, so 5303. Now, it's not like it's brand new, this unit.
That's a general done. That it's of a different era. But it's a pretty building.
But it's a pretty building, kitchen here. But this was in 2018, and it closed for $523,000 So I just want you to remember $523 per square foot. Okay. This is second bedroom. Now we're going to go to 4403.
Wow.
442 per square foot. So what's the difference? Well, we're 11 floors lower or 9 floors lower. You've got wood on a diagonal, passe. You got a kitchen.
I don't think that was ever good.
The diagonal floors.
Ever.
That came and went very quickly, didn't it?
I don't recall it ever coming in, but I remember seeing it.
All right. So there you go. Okay. Now 4103. So 3 floors lower, $296 a square foot it sold for. These are the original floors for that building.
Yeah.
Okay. But what a value. $296 per square foot for that building. Are you kidding me? I had to throw this in. This is virtual staging. So not in keeping with that building, but somebody's attempt to show you what you could do with it. Here's the kitchen.
That's an original kitchen. But I don't remember that being the original kitchen. Like that's somebody put that in. That's like a Home Depot kitchen from the early 80s.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Okay, bedroom, bathroom, original bathroom.
But what a great frame for somebody to do something really wonderful.
Well, that's it. Yeah. So that just shows you what condition and floor level does to value. All right, let's look at the 04. And here's the 04 floor plan. And it's a 2-bedroom. Here's what, or 2 or 3 floor. What am I doing here? 2 or 3 floor bedroom. Anyway.
I think some have been.
Some are different.
Yeah.
But look at it. They're all in the 1830 to 1860 square foot range. So again, currently available, $749,000, $920,000, and $1,025,000. Recent sales. Look at these. All the sales have been in the 700s, which have been $380 to $404 per square foot. Still not the $296 that we just saw, but okay. So and I'm just showing you 2 units at this price.
Look at that.
Unit. Yeah, doesn't that look nice? 3304, $505 per square foot. So again, this is the high end of the range. Nicely done kitchen, but these kitchens are enclosed
and old, but nice. Listen, I could cook in there.
Okay, I had to show you this one.
Oh my! It's a cottage. It's a cottage.
It is a cottage. Just cottage in the sky. 2404, $388 per square foot. This closed in 18. I had to go back to 18 to show you one that sold like this.
It's an English cottage.
Yes.
In a modern building.
With the pickled oak. Remember that?
That was nice.
That's what kind of, okay, this is the kitchen I had when I lived in your building, Kyle.
You know what? But you could look at how simple those cabinets are. You could reuse that
absolutely.
And it would look great.
Yeah.
So it's not as awful as it appears.
There you go. So that's it. That is my, but again, height and condition. I mean, you could be quite a difference between units. And what some buyers will do is they will say, all right, what's it going to take me to bring this up to today's standards? In other words, what do I have to spend to get it to the $525 per square foot value, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what they're looking at as they go through and decide what they want to spend.
Absolutely. Now, I approached my building, which is, we call it Water Tower. It's the apartment building in Water Tower Place. It's also known as 180 East Pearson Street. And it is, can you see it now?
No. Oh, I haven't shared it. Apologies. There you go.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Excellent. So this is the building. You'll recognize there's Michigan Avenue up ahead. This is Mies van der Rohe. Over here is the Museum of Contemporary Art. There's a very pretty park in between. And across the park is Chicago Avenue, just to orient yourselves in this. So this is the kind of view you can get in the evening from some of these apartments, which is why Water Tower's apartments are so beloved over time have been so expensive and over time have held their value so nicely. I mean, that's an example of a southeast view. So why is Water Tower iconic? It's 73 stories high. There are 260 homes in that building, and that will be important for determining assessments. The amenities are incredible for this building. Among other things, they are in the same building as the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and you can get a membership in the very nice Carlton Club, or you have in the past. I don't know if it still exists, but they also have an indoor pool. They've got a number of amenities, exercise rooms, etc. Very nice. They also have a lot of service, meaning door people and engineers. They have, which is freaking incredible, $30 million in reserves. Now, I live in a condo building. My assessment is comprised of the assessment, meaning what pays for the budget of the running of the building over the course of the year, not the capital, but the actual running of the building. And then I pay a reserve funding fee, which is about half of the assessment fee. This building has no reserve funding in its assessments, so you will be surprised at the level of the assessments for something this great. All units are large for the number of rooms. So a 2-bedroom will be larger than a 2-bedroom in other buildings because they've got just that much space. And believe it or not, it lives like a smaller building. They've got a lot of elevators, so you're not feeling like, oh my gosh, there are all these people going up and down all the time. And it has very wide hallways. You never feel like I'm in a huge building. Prices today range from unbelievable $649,900, so effectively $650 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath on the 36th floor, to $3.55 million for a 3-bedroom, 3-bath on 67. And the average price per square foot of recent sales was $558. And I went across all sales just to give you a sense of how the building was done. And there weren't a ton of sales. There were only 7 sales in the past year. So what I've decided to do is show you 2 identically sized homes that are on the market today. So they are both 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,700, a little over 2,700 square feet. The only difference are the views, condition, and floor height. So unit 6901 is on the market for almost $2.4 million. And note it's HOA, so it's on the 69th floor. It has its assessment is $1,695 a month. And its taxes are $25,000, and it's got north and west exposures. When you're at the window, you'll see the lake, but you won't see the lake directly. And that's going to factor into, as we see, I believe, the assessment. It was rehabbed in 2018, and it was rehabbed in a very classical, transitional way. So look at the pretty ceilings, very much the gray and the beautiful brown floors. So just done very elegantly. This is their kitchen and the bedroom, very nice. But what you're seeing is actually not a lake view. Usually when I look out and I see that, I think, oh my gosh, it's right across the lake and they're looking at the lake. Actually, that's a west view.
Really? Oh yeah, I agree. That's funny. Okay.
Because it's so high, it clears all the other buildings. So
right.
Like you've got this big, and you do have this big open sky. So here's a floor plan of this unit, which is the same size, slightly different floor plan. And I didn't get a floor plan for the other one. They didn't provide it, but gives you a sense of how it's organized. So this is a corner unit with a lot of windows and laid out very nicely, a private window for the bedrooms, etc. Okay.
Great. Mm-hmm.
So here's 3407, which is 35 floors lower. And it has
half the price.
It's a much lower price, and it has a higher assessment.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's because of the view, because this has a south and west exposure. So view
does count, sure.
It does count, but you'll see you are on the 34th floor, you're much more a part of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see, you're looking into or at other buildings. This is their view of the west side. So this is 111 East Chestnut, the Claire, and then the Park Hyatt. So you'll see other buildings, but you still get a lot. That's your south view. Really beautiful. But this is what this is why you're paying so much less.
Right.
That may be, I don't think that's an original kitchen, but it's really close if it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
A huge bathroom, but of an era that's past. And so that is what the types of difference you'll get at Water Tower Place. Now, they have some enormous homes. The most expensive house, the most expensive apartments have 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. So they are like a single family home, but on one level with incredible views. Remember,
So
per square foot is it's pretty reasonable for this kind of luxury.
Sure. Well, I have to say, it looks like a very reasonably priced place with reasonable assessments and reasonable taxes. The last one was $2 million and its taxes were only $25,000, which I say $25,000, but it's only about 1% of value. So I always use the 1.5% to 2% of value as my benchmark on taxes. So that wasn't too far off.
It's well, first of all, a couple of things. One, some of these big buildings are very good about working together to challenge and appeal taxes. They appeal them for the building itself, and they give you a sense of how to do it for yourselves if they don't help you do it, to bring down the taxes as much as possible. There are a number of people who do not appeal their tax assessments in buildings that are declining in value. So they end up continuing to pay all this tax that is not reflective of where sales are. And the assessor is not going to do it for you. You have to be part of the process.
Right.
But Water Tower and probably One Mag Mile are the kinds of buildings that are very proactive.
Absolutely. All right. So thank you. Learned a lot from that. Today we talked about condo values and how floor height, view, condition affect your value in the building. And so thank you for watching. I don't know that we've picked our topic for next week, so we'll advertise that once we figure it out. But it was wonderful seeing all of you today, and thank you for watching. Kyle, have a terrific week, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you for watching.